Welcome, students. We are discussing the poem The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. In the previous part, we have discussed about Robert Frost, who was an American poet who was known for his description of rural life in New England. After that, we see the introduction of the poem The Road Not Taken. The basic idea that is expressed in the poem is that whenever we have to make choices or decision, we should be very careful. In other words, we can say our decision shapes the future. Our future depends on our present decision. So whenever we are going to make decision, we should be very careful. Other idea is that if we fail to make correct or appropriate decision in our life, then there is no chance to go back and correct that decision. So we should be very careful. After that, we discussed the stanza number 1. In that stanza, we see that the poet is standing at a point in the forest where the two roads are diverged into two directions. He is in dilemma. He has to make choice. He has to take decision which path he should choose and which path he should not choose. Further, the poet says that at a particular time he can travel one path, he can't travel both paths. So this is the dilemma of the poet, and he is looking towards the one road for a long time. It means that he is making analysis of that road, whether this road will be beneficial for him in future or not. And the road leads towards undergrowth. So up to this point we have discussed the poem. Now we come to stanza number 2 of the same poem, that is The Road Not Taken. See, then took the other. So in the first stanza, the poet focuses on the first road, first path. He looks that path for a long time. So he is making analysis of that path, whether it will be beneficial for him or not in future. After that, he took the other, means again he started making analysis of the second path, just as fair, and he found that the second path also be a fair. Fair means as good as the other one. Meaning is this: the poet is making comparison between the two paths. After making analysis of the first path, he focused on the second path. He finds that second path will also be fair, just like the previous one. So again here the poet is in dilemma. He is not able to understand which path he should choose and which path he should not choose. And having perhaps the better claim, when he looks towards the second path, then he finds that this path have better claim, better option. He believes that the second path is better than the first one. This is the belief of the poet after making analysis of the second path. Why? Because it was grassy. Grassy means unused and wanted wear. This is very clear. If we do not use any path, then that path will be covered with grass. And here the poet says that when he is looking towards the second path, that is grassy and that is wanted wear, means had not been used. The second path was not used by the common people. That's why the whole path is covered with grass, and poet is of the opinion that this path may be better. It may have better claim in comparison to first. Though, as for that, the passing there had warned them really about the same. Though, as for that, the passing there, if people start passing through the second path and used it, then the condition of the second path will be of the first one. So here in stanza number 2, the poet makes the analysis of the second path, and he finds that second path has a better claim in comparison to first one, and second path was grassy. Why? Because it was not used by the common people, and poet believes that if this path will be used by common people, then this path will also become just like the first one. सो स्टेंजा नंबर 2 में हम ये देखते हैं कि पोएट दूसरे पाथ की एनालिसिस करता है और वो सोचता है कि दूसरा पाथ पर भी हम बेटर क्लेम कर सकते हैं, दूसरा पाथ भी अच्छा ऑप्शन है। क्यों? क्योंकि ये ग्रासी है और वांटेड वियर है, मतलब ये दूसरा पाथ लोगों द्वारा यूज नहीं किया गया है। और पोएट का मानना है कि अगर इस पाथ को लोग यूज करें या इस दूसरे पाथ का यूज किया जाए तो इस दूसरे पाथ की भी स्थिति पहले पाथ जैसी हो जाएगी। हैड वॉर्न देम रियली अबाउट द सेम, मीनिंग इज दिस द कंडीशन ऑफ द सेकेंड पाथ विल बी ऑफ द सेम जस्ट लाइक द फर्स्ट वन। सो स्पेशली सेकेंड स्टैंजा की जो बेसिक आइडिया है वो ये है कि जो सेकेंड पाथ है उसकी एनालिसिस करता है पोएट, और ये पाता है कि सेकेंड पाथ कैसा है, ग्रासी है और अनयूज्ड है और ये लंबे समय तक यूज नहीं किया गया है। और पोएट का मानना है कि दूसरा जो पाथ है जो कि ग्रासी है वो ज़्यादा ही क्या है, बेटर ऑप्शन है, ये पोएट का मानना है। सो रिमेंबर हियर द पोएट इज मेकिंग एनालिसिस ऑफ द second path, and he believes that this is the opinion of poet that second path is a better option. This is the belief, this is the he's in anticipating, okay, this is the anticipation of the poet, this is the anticipation of the poet, ये poet का एक अनुमान है। okay, so this we have seen in stanza number 2. Now come to C, and in the figure you see what is the condition of the poet. Both paths are lying before the poet, you see, and both that morning equally lay. See, in the figure you see two paths are diverged into two directions, and poet is hoping both paths are lying before him, and both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black, meaning is this, these two paths are covered with the leaves. Trodden means walked over, trodden means walked over. In leaves no step had trodden black, meaning is this, no one has gone through the path. Oh, I kept the first for the another day. This is the you can say regression of the poet. Poet is saying, oh, I kept the first for another. He is saying, perhaps I get a chance to keep the first for another day, but reality is that we have to make a choice. Whenever we have to make a choice, then we don't have time to keep the first path for another day. So he is saying, oh, I kept the first for another day. This is the belief of poet. He believes that perhaps I get a chance to keep the first path for another day. Yet knowing how way leads on to way. Yet knowing how way leads on to way. Can I keep this first path for another day and think and see where this path will go? Remember, every path goes somewhere. And here the poet has a desire, he has a wish to keep the first path for another day. Meaning is this, he will keep the first path for another day, means he will follow the first path some other day, and he will see where this road will go. I doubted if I should ever come back. The poet has doubt in his mind whether he will be able to come back and start the or follow the first one. This is the dilemma of the poet. In the figure you see, two paths are lying before poet, and the poet is of the opinion that the grassy path is a better option. And here in this stanza, the poet has a desire to keep the first path for another day. This was the wish of poet. At the same time, he thinks that whether he will get a chance to come back and follow the first path. Understand? So स्टैंजा नंबर 3 में पोएट ये कहता है कि उसके सामने दोनों ही पाथ हैं, जैसा कि हम फिगर में देख सकते हैं। और पोएट जैसा कि सेकंड ऑप्शन में कहता है कि सेकंड पाथ बेटर ऑप्शन है। क्यों? क्योंकि लोगों के द्वारा यूज नहीं किया गया है, ये पोएट का मानना है। साथ ही पोएट की एक इच्छा है कि खास ऐसा होता कि पहला पाथ दूसरे दिन के लिए वो रखता। पोएट का ये भी मानना है कि ऐसा संभव नहीं है। उसे संदेह है, क्या यह संभव है कि पहला पाथ वो किसी और दिन रखे और अभी ग्रासी पाथ को फॉलो कर ले। कहने का मतलब ये है कि यदि पोएट की इच्छा है कि वह अभी ग्रासी पाथ को फॉलो कर ले और जो लेस ग्रासी पाथ है उसको किसी और दिन जो है वो फॉलो करेगा। पोएट का कहना ये है कि ऐसा संभव नहीं है। उसे संदेह है कि ऐसा हो पाना संभव नहीं है। क्या कि आज ग्रासी पाथ को फॉलो कर लें और फिर दूसरे दिन हम पहले पाथ को जो कि लेस ग्रासी है उसको फॉलो करें। ये संभव नहीं है। ऐसा संभव नहीं है कि एक बार डिसीजन लेने के बाद हम पीछे आएं और फिर एक नया डिसीजन ले पाएं। So this is the opinion of the poet. In the stanza number 3, the poet only says this point that both paths are lying before him and no leaves had been trodden, means no one had walked over it, and he has a desire to keep the first path for another day. At the same time, he has doubt in his mind whether he will get a chance to come back and follow the first path. He has doubt, and his doubt is clear. His doubt is correct. उसका डाउट बिल्कुल सही है। ये संभव नहीं है कि पहले पाथ को वो दूसरे दिन आकर के फॉलो कर पाए। कहने का मतलब ये है कि जब व्यक्ति एक डिसीजन ले लेता है तो उस डिसीजन को लेने के बाद उसमें हम कोई भी चेंज नहीं ला सकते। ओके, नाउ कम टू नेक्स्ट वन। Here the poet is saying in stanza number 4, I shall be telling this with a sigh. What he is saying that Oh, I get a chance to follow the first path another day. But at the same time, he has a doubt in his mind that whether he will get a chance to come back and follow the first one. See, I shall be telling this with a sigh, with a regretting mood, with deep breath. Sigh means deep breath. With deep breath, he says, somewhere ages and ages hence here means here. Somewhere ages and ages here, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled. One less traveled means the poet has followed the grassy path. Less traveled means he has followed the grassy path, and that has made all the differences. The poet has chosen the grassy path or less traveled path, and this decision has made all the differences in his life. Meaning is this: whenever we take decision, that decision make differences in our life. That difference may be positive, that difference may be negative. So whenever we have to make a decision, we should be careful. According to the poet, whenever we make a decision, we don't get a second chance to correct it. So that's why our decision creates future, our choices shapes our choices shape the future. Our decision makes future, our choice decides our future. So we should be very very careful whenever we are going to make decision in our life. स्टैंजा नंबर 4 में पोएट का कहना है कि बहुत ही वो डीप ब्रीथ के साथ कहता है, एजेस के एजेस बीत जाने के बाद भी ये दोनों रोड वैसे ही पड़े हुए हैं जैसे पहले थे, लेकिन पोएट ने कहा कि वो लेस ट्रेवल्ड पाथ को चुनता है और ये सारे ही डिफरेंसेस क्रिएट करता है उसके जीवन में। यानी उसका डिसीज़न उसके जीवन में सारे डिफरेंसेस क्रिएट करते हैं। तो all the differences are created by his decision, and his decision was that he has chosen the less traveled path. So this is all about the poem. Especially this poem focuses on the choices or the decisions which we make in our life. Our choices, our decisions make changes in our life. So message of this poem is that whenever we are going to make decision or whenever we are going to make choices, we must be very very careful, because that choice, that decision cannot be changed in the future. So that is all about this poem. तो इस पोएम की बेसिक आइडिया यही है कि जब भी हम अपना डिसीजन लेते समय बहुत ही केयरफुल रहें, क्योंकि जो भी डिसीजन लिया जा चुका है उसे बदल पाना संभव नहीं है। जैसा कि पोएट ने ये विश रखी, खास ऐसा होता कि वो पहला पाथ किसी और दिन फॉलो कर लेता, नहीं सच्चाई है कि ऐसा नहीं हो सकता, क्योंकि एक बार डिसीजन लेने के बाद लौट करके फिर उस डिसीजन को बदला नहीं जा सकता। दैट इज़ द पॉइंट विच द पोएट हैज़ फोकस्ड in this poem, The Road Not Taken. Now after this we will discuss the literary devices of the poem. What are the literary devices in the poem we will discuss. First we will see what is the rhyme scheme of the poem. The rhyme scheme of the poem is A B A A B. That is the rhyme scheme of the poem. That is very important. This question is asked in your examination. A B A A B. Now we come to second literary device, that is symbolism. The poet has used the symbols, that is two roads. Here two roads refers two or more choices in our life. Meaning is this: road refers to choices. So here the poet has used symbolism. He has used road as a symbol. Road symbolizes choices. Okay, road symbolizes choices. Now come to third literary device, that is anaphora. Anaphora, you see, and repeated at the beginning of lines 2, 3, and 4. Whenever we see the uh, stanza 2, 3, and 4, when we will see these lines, we find that and is repeated. Here you see, you can see. See, and sorry I could not travel, and be one traveler long I, and look down one as far as I could. So here in line number 2, 3, 4, there is anaphora. You see, and is repeated in the consecutive lines, second, third, and fourth. That's why here the figure of speech is anaphora. And sorry, and be, and looked. So here the figure of speech is anaphora. See, now come to next one, alliteration. Wanted wear, W sound is repeating. First for, F sound is repeating. Though that, the sound is repeating. So in alliteration what happened? There is the same letter and the same sound. In other words, we can say in alliteration there is a repetition of same letter and same sound, then it is alliteration. So here in this line you see wanted wear, W sound is repeating. First for, F sound is repeating, though that, the sound is repeating. Come to next one, repetition. One term is repeated again and again, that is ages and ages. And second line which is repeated, two roads diverge in a wood. This line is repeated in stanza number 1 and 4. So these are the literary devices which are used in the poem The Road Not Taken. Remember the rhyme scheme, that is AB, AAB, symbolism, road symbolizes choices, anaphora, repetition of the and term in the beginning of the lines 2, 3, and 4, alliteration, you see, repetition of the same letter and same sound, that is wanted wear, first for, though that, and in repetition you see ages is repeated and the one line is repeated instead number 1 and 4, that is two roads diverge in odd. So that is all from this side. So these are the devices which are used in this poem. Okay, thank you.